Hello. Let's take a few moments of breath to empty our mind. Relax. Stick a toe to the upper hard palate. In and out. Breathe in. Out. In. Out. In. Out. Hold it. In. Out. Okay. Today I want to see if I can ask you a question. What do you see? What do you see? It sounds very simple. Oh, you see the wall, the picture, the nature, the people. What do you see? You not only see with your eyes, the lights, without the lights, you don't see anything. All you see is light, reflect so-called objects from that sense in the physical world. But in the meantime, what do you see? With so many filters, you don't even know. You think, you believe that you look things, you see the evidence, you see the documents, you see all the things as they are. Are they? You think you see everything in reality as they are objectively. Are you looking that way? Is that true? Behind that, you see things with the entire being. Can you? Can you see not only with your eyes, with your mind, with your entire being? You see, in fact, with so many filters. Let's say number one is the human filter as a human being. Then if you live West, you have a Western filter. If you either live in this East, and you have an Eastern filter. They're called a culture filter. Don't you agree? You live in this earth, you have a humanity filter, human beings filter, as a human race. There's a human clan filter. Then trace back to your your family, your genetic clan, centuries of centuries, that collection of the information. That's a filter. You look into that filter. Your family filter, your family conditioned mind, your community conditioned mind. What you have been taught from that education, from that belief, from that dogma, from that religion, from that race. There are so many filters. We are totally conditioned to see anything. You see, I remember a monkey who was raised, saved by this family. They raised this monkey, living in the village. It's in the back of the mountain. One night, the monkey grab everybody, scream everybody, scratch everybody, chase everybody out of the house. Everybody was in sleep. Nobody see anything. They see this as usual, they objectively. But the monkey see. The monkey sees things differently. The monkey sees something is moving, something's happening. Got most of the people out of the family. Some people just refuse. The grandmother refused to get out. There were 6 people in a family. This is the story I know. Five people got up. The grandmother refused. And then, as the family go out, the monkey grabbed the grandma. Off the bed. And then, the backyard, the mountain, sliding, big, landslide. The whole house, it's gone. It's gone. The people got out. They were alive. Only the grandmother was buried with a monkey. Eventually, they tried to get her. Dig in. The monkey died. And then the grandmother died. And then on top of the grandmother was the monkey. That's what happened. You see reality? The monkey sees more than a human being. We believe we came out of the monkey. Are we? The dog grab a baby out of the falling fan. Just literally bite the baby's clothing, get the baby out of the big fan. But the monkey, the dog sees before the fan falling. See, but the human beings, the family, whole family is there. Nobody saw anything. Do you see reality? You don't. So we are filtered. We are subconsciously also filtered with the habits of generations of the social culture beliefs also. We see everything as is now. We filtered by the collective non-conscious. Do we? Oh yeah, absolutely. So, can we get out of that so-called knowledge? The books we read, we believe that's the that's the knowledge. The knowledge is power. Are we sure? Knowledge explained by certain people, by a certain person. Very limited, very limited. Do we see that? We don't. We thought, that's objectively, that's somebody. And then you have science. Science said, this is what happened. And then later on, we turn over. Oh, this nutrition is great. This is really good for it. And a few years later, turn over. Why? It's not what they see. It's not, they didn't tell the truth. They tell what they can explain, what they can see in that experiment or in that hypothesis. And we see the cosmology, right? This is a certain way we formulate the mathematics, and we use our telescope to see. That was the module. That is the model we see. Everybody believes that is the model. It's correct. And then, until James Webb goes to the sky, everything collapsed. Even the Big Bang, that's the only Big Bang. The whole universe is the beginning. It's collapsing. Can we get out of that conditioned mind? Can we get out of that belief, the objective to believe? Can we see beyond that feel, beyond that sense, beyond that eyes process, the light come in, processed vision? Can we? Can we get out of that the puddle, that cave? A lot of Chinese say sort of like we are stuck into this well, like a frog. Frogs, frogs. And then we see that circle of the well on top. That's the universe. That's the cosmos. We believe that's true. Are we? In that stuckness? Are we in that well? Think about it. Can we get out of the well? Can we have that free mind? Can we have that open mind to see beyond that well? Beyond that material? Beyond that surface? And then you see Laozi. What did Laozi see? Laozi sees everything comes from the formulas, nothingness. From nothing to 1, 2, 2 to 3 to billions, trillions to everything. So everything comes from formulas, nothingness. That's the Tao. What do you interpret? What do you call it? Give it a name. It is your interpretation. Nothing creates everything. The nothing is what? The nothing is the infinite nothingness of the potentiality of the cosmos. The nothingness of the consciousness. No visibility, no tangibility, no appearance to be observed. When you observe that effect, everything comes out. That's Lao-Tzu. From his perceiving, his way of perceiving, beyond that material world, beyond that appearance, beyond that thoughts, beyond that conditioned mind. Can you do that? Then you have Gautama. Everybody call him Buddha. He never thought of him. See, everybody's Buddha, he says. He explored, go to different temples, different, sort of like people go to different churches. I found out everybody has the stubbornness of the mind, stubborn mind. Everybody has the belief. Everybody has their own limitations and dogma. Eventually he get out. He said, well, that's not what he wanted. He wanted the freedom of the mind beyond that dogma, beyond that materialism, beyond that beliefs, blindness. And then he did self a lot. He did all kinds of extremities, fasting, all kinds of things, and he almost dead. But eventually he find a middle road, not to be too extreme, not to be just leave the so-called world of reality. See the nature as it is. Maybe not as it is, but live with the nature. And let all that stubbornness go, all the belief go, anything you believe was true, you see was true, you want to get into, just let it go. And you empty your mind, something may come up. Eventually he emptied his mind, something coming up. He see that emptiness, the importance of the emptiness, and the world of the illusion, the interface of everything. Everything is the surface. What we would see is the surface, is the veil, not behind the veil. Everything is the inner surface. The interface, the space-time is interface. The so-called reality is interface. Everything's an illusion, but behind that illusion, behind the veil, we don't see anything because we are so stuffed in that. We're so stuck in that surface. All the sufferings because of our beliefs, because of the interface, because of that game on the surface. And we believe that's the truth. We never see behind the veil. That illusion is our root of the suffering. That thought is the root of the suffering. That the beliefs is the root of the suffering. That the beliefs all that interface, broader than the emotions, also the root of the suffering. Everything we see, not real. Our thoughts, our encounters, our past, we amplify everything. That's the root of the suffering. So out of suffering, you must let the thoughts go. Let the emotion go. Let the conditioning mind go. Let all that beliefs go. That's freedom. That's what it is. And then that's thousands of years ago. Why they can see that? Because they don't have all this drastic, all information. all kinds of crazy signals, all kinds of crazy information, all kinds of crazy knowledge, put it in front of your face. That are education. That are media. That polarization. That stay in the mountains with the nature. They empty the mind. Then you have other people like Max Planck. I mentioned many times, and the following people I mentioned many, many times, because I kind of interconnect with them. Interconnect not only with the Lao Tzu, with the Gautama, the Buddha, but with today's scientific community. Let's say Maxwell. Let's say Max Planck. What Maxwell see? It's not just material. Everything's like magnetic field, electron, magnetic field. And then you see Max Planck see differently. The Planck scale. Not only the Planck scale, but he sees the energy is not just a particle, but it's quantum. He sees the quantum. And then he sees behind the quantum, behind the material, he says clearly, the fundamental is what? Is consciousness. There's no such thing as material. The material is a derivative. The quantum is the material. And behind the material, you see, is the consciousness. That is the fundamental. Quantum physics started from him, because he said quantum, all the energy, not just single, but patches energy. And then somebody waves, particles, and try to eventually give the evidence. Light, photon, energy, it's not only the particle, but also wave particle, double appearance. It can be particle, can be wave, can be particles. And he got a Nobel Prize. That's Albert Einstein. Originally, that idea came from a lot of people. Of course, I haven't given that evidence. Wrote that theory and give that. Eventually, you see, we have a double slit experiment. We have done thousands of millions. Repeated that same. And the result is the same. And then you have delayed double slits. That's later we talk about. And then you have Niels Bohr. Niels Bohr sees differently. He sees things from yin and yang and from I Ching, from the ancient theory. He put together his complementary theory of quantum physics. That's what he sees. Yin or yang yin. Up and down, down, up. They're interconnected. That's what he sees. Then you have Schrödinger. You have Heisenberg. Heisenberg sees everything is fuzzy, uncertainty, until observed. Uncertainty principle. He wrote the uncertainty principle, and he got a Nobel Prize also, like Einstein, like Max Planck. Schrödinger sees the cats, not only the cats, he sees the whole world is one mind, one consciousness, interconnected. That's all that is. The fundamental is what? Is consciousness. The one mind. Then you have John Wheeler, sees further. The observed is one. It's interconnected. The observer, we're not just observe, see the world is happening. No, we're not. We are observed and we're observer. We are affected and we affect the universe. It's double. It's one. Two communication. We are participator to create this universe. And he gave the theory of, not really theory, but he just told Richard Feynman, there's one electron in the universe. Everything is in and out. How that affect, being affected, that make the universe what happen, or the visible universe what it is. So everything what it is different, you see. And David Bohm says different, another difference. He said everything is implicate order and explicit order. Everything is folding and unfolding. Like when you print, the printing machine, the old printing machine, it's like that. The ink, you have ink, right? The ink, and then you expressed. You go back the ink, and then the things separated. And you don't see, and then you see, and then you reverse it, and then you don't see again. So it's like that machine. Folding, unfolding. Implicate order, explicit order. Everything interconnected. But the surface, you see only the surface. When it is expressed, when it is not expressed to the inner space, and he sees the holographic world. He sees the non-locality. And then he comes with Roger. We talked about Roger many times. And he worked together with Stewart, who came also to our Zen conference. And the Stewart sees the world is infinite in that consciousness before the Big Bang. That's what. And then we have the similar view. We had argument at the beginning, but later on we talked the same thing. And then you see, Roger sees the world is cyclic. Big Bang. Big Bang, and then another Big Bang, another Big Bang, another Big Bang. The endless Big Bang. It's called a cyclic cosmology. Death, birth, growth, death, birth, growth. Constant. Same as a human being, We're alive as a human being, and this shell is gone, and we come back again. The Chinese people, the Eastern people call that. What do they call it? You know what I call it? Reincarnation. Same thing as the cyclic cosmology. Life is endless, beginningless. No beginning, no ending. You have so many people I see similar to what I see. That comes to my mind. It brought to my observation, my own experience, my own life and death situation, my own life-death experiment. You can say experiment because it's, got over with it. I died so many times. Disease, death, growth, die, and then come back again. And then I discovered for the last 50 years in observation. I see the world is a loop. The loop consciousness cosmos is alive. There's no death, there's no birth. But always in a loop. Beginning is the end is the beginning. I call loop of quantum consciousness. Some people call loop cosmology. I see this oneness. The observer and the observed is one in union. Observe is the observed. Observer is the observed. Observed is the observer. And then the whole that visible universe is created, expressed, manifested. But it's only one mind, same thing. Consciousness is the fundamental. That's what I see. I cannot say I'm right or I'm wrong. Test it. Test it. So that's our vision. That's what we see. What do you see? Let me know what you see. Of course, our life, our experience, our embodiment of our observation, our embodiment of our practice, our embodiment of our vision. What do we perceive? What do we conceive? What our embodiment? And then you begin to change. 30 years ago, I definitely do not see what I see today. Even 10 years ago, I see the details differently. As I talk to some of the scientists, some of the CEOs, some of the energy scientists, or some of the spiritual people, even 2008 at my Zen conference. And today, I change some of my views. Why? Because you get deeper and deeper and deeper. You feel, you sense. Okay, I need to change, make adjustment. My views. What I see. So can you see? What do you see? Let him know. We can discuss further. Of course, this topic is very simple, but profound. As simple as one sentence, as complex as life, as cosmos, as inner and outer world. Put all the science together, all the spiritual people together. Everybody give some link, even come back to Middle East. You have, everybody call him Jesus Christ. What the Jewish see? The Jewish people see Moses. Okay? We are Jewish. We are the only people connected with God. We're going to be saved. We are the privileged people. We are the saved people. But Jesus sees differently, totally differently. God is Almighty. God is everywhere. God will receive all. Everything, everybody is a son of God. That's what Jesus believes. Not just the Jewish people, not just some, but Gentiles. They call Gentiles. They can outsiders, Gentiles. I studied Bible. I had a Bible since I was a child. I studied very thoroughly in Chinese and in English. I studied it in a religious college. And I see all the texts, describe about the Old Testament world, the Jewish world, and the Jesus world, the New Testament world. I see what Jesus, to open up the humanity. Of course, God is, everybody see God differently, But Jesus totally sees the God different from Jewish people. Similar, as I see, the cosmic consciousness. I am the ordinary person. I'm the cosmos. I'm the humanity. Thank you. Okay, Natalie just told me that when she meditates, she doesn't see the self anymore. She doesn't see the appearance anymore. She gets deeper. That's good. So when you meditate, why we meditate? We empty our mind. We don't go to that emotions, that attachments, that thoughts, that all crazy, chaotic thinking, and connect without all chaotic signals, all the chaotic media information, all that family clans genetic information, all the community information, all the subconsciousness, collective non-consciousness conformity, all that subconsciousness traced back, that habits traced back to the family, to the generations. It's all kinds of conditioned phenomena. Get our mind conditioned and then filtered through our brain, through our cells, through our transmission, so-called knowledge, so-called analysis, so-called computation, so-called thinking mind. And most time we use the left brain to perceive everything. We seldom even use the right brain. Can we use the whole brain? Can we go beyond the brain? As we see all the abstract from so many evidence, if the person have very, very few brain matter over there, he functions as well as everybody else. Only 10% of the brain as everybody else. 10%, remember. 90% he doesn't have. Everybody thought there's no way he can function. But he functioned well. He even went to medical school. That's reality. And then people cut the brain to halves, take something out. And then, yes, because they don't have that anymore. But they function normal. They remember everything. And they found out even the brain is dead, but the abstract of thinking is still there. So the abstract thinking has nothing to do with the brain. So we think the brain is the fundamental, give rise to everything else, give rise to energy, the consciousness. Is totally false. So what do you see? Your mind, your filter decides. Sometimes let's get out of the filter. Just empty our mind. We may see new possibilities. We may see the infinite potential. We may get the greatest potential within ourselves, see beyond the surface. Our life can be totally transcend. We may move, shift from the old OS, that operation system, those filters, to a new OS, without all that attachment, without all that thinking, without all that conditioned mind, filtered vision. Thank you.